Hey everybody, my name is Zero, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about this little guy right here. This is the Enrique Pena X Series bolt action pen. As evidenced by the name, these are designed by custom knife maker Enrique Pena and fulfilled through Reate Knives, who does a lot of Enrique's production work on his knives. So these guys had a lot of reason to be hyped right out of the gate. A lot of people were very, very positive about them early on. And after having this guy and using it for a little bit, I wanted to share some thoughts and kind of put this into perspective with where it stands among some of its peers. So before we get too far into this, I want to go ahead and do a little bit of size comparison, give you guys some basic specs. So listed from the Urban EDC website, these guys come in right at 1.41 ounces, 5.5 inches long, and 0.43 inches in diameter. Now we're going to do a little bit of diameter measurement because it's not the same from tip to tail. So we'll look at that here in just a little bit, but to give it some size comparison against other things in the range, here it is against the TIE Scribe V3 from Urban Survival Gear, the Tactile Turn Bolt Action Mini, the TIE 2 Designs Bolt Liner, and the Fellholter tie bolt. This one is the standard size. So, what we can see here, we're really not breaking the mold or anything here. It's not far off from any of its competitors, really. But we'll go ahead and put it to a ruler as well as a set of calipers here just so we can double check the measurements that we got online. So set this guy up here, and pretty true to life, coming in right at about 5.5 inches, and tail end of this guy right at about 440. Now, like I said, this tapers pretty heavily towards the front, so I want to get a measurement from here as well. So we go all the way down to the tip here, and we're coming in right at about 0.210, 205, something like that. So that's a pretty significant drop off, and that's something that I'm going to talk about here in just a little bit. But for now, we'll just go ahead and I'm going to start talking. So one of the things that I really, really enjoy about this thing, and one of the reasons that I imagine Enrique did this the way that he did, is this thing is incredibly well machined. Let me see if I can get this to focus a little better on the pen. Don't mind my wobbling here. But obviously, like I said, this is produced by Reate Knives, who does lots and lots and lots of custom work for Enrique, or production work rather. And they do all that work because they do a hell of a job. The finishing on this, and really just the overall construction on this, is incredibly well done for a full-blown production pen, especially one that's coming out of a dedicated factory, not really a small one or two man shop. The attention to detail on this and really the level of polish is incredible. There isn't a sharp edge on the thing. They've went and chamfered all of the sharp edges that were going to be on here. Your tip is really nice and accounted for. The edges on these flutes are very, very well done. Everything fits together super nicely. I mean, the seam in the body here almost disappears when you tighten this thing up. There's no burr around the tip or anything. This is just, there we go. This is just exceptionally well done. I cannot say enough good about how well built this thing is. And one of the areas in that I wanted to highlight in particular was this clip. Now, milled clips get a little bit of a bad reputation amongst a lot of pen people and pen makers because, frankly, they're hard to do. Milled clips are kind of an art of their own, and lots of times you end up with something that either does not have enough ramp, doesn't have enough flex, or just, is a little too tight to be practical. But they've done this thing really, really well, and if you look kind of closely at this, you can see there's all sorts of ramp here towards the front. That just makes this super easy to slide even into thick pants. And then you also have plenty of ramp at the back as well, which is one of my big pet peeves. You a lot of times will get a nice ramp at the front, and then it cuts off pretty dramatically at the back, making it a pain in the ass to get out of your pants. But this doesn't really suffer from any of those issues, and I'm really grateful for that, because it really, really highlights just how well of a job they did here. Another thing that really, I think, speaks to the quality of this is the fact that this bolt action was polished smooth out of the box. So there's no hold up, there's no grind, there's nothing. And it was like this from the second I took it out of the box. And that's a big deal, especially for titanium like this one is here, because titanium is a galling metal. has a tendency to grind kind of naturally. And in most bolt pens, or really anything that inherently uses titanium mechanism, they talk about a bit of a break-in period. You need to give it some time and play with it to really get the titanium acclimated to moving in that specific path, and this really didn't require any at all. And that's something that is just really, really good. And just the bolt action in general. This handle is a nice size. It comes off well from the body, so you're not trying to, catch it with the fleshy part of your thumb or anything. You grab right onto it, and away you go. This is really nice. I can't say enough good things about the action on this thing. And in terms of actual writing experience, this guy takes the Parker style refill. I currently have a Uniball Jetstream in there, but it'll take anything. I think it comes shipped with a Schmidt Easy Flow 9000. So the refills on this are pretty good to go. You can find a good Parker style refill about anywhere. I really like the Uniball, and it just, it writes really well. No complaints aside from thin paper. So that's really good. And then the price on these guys for everything that you're getting here, and as much as I've raved about how well these things are built, it wouldn't be out of the range of expectation at all to think that this is, $150, $165, but these are coming in right at $99 as configured right here with the basic tie and just a standard clip. And that's really nice. I mean, that is really, really good. And I understand that going through an external shop is probably part of what helped Enrique get to that price point, but nonetheless, it is fantastic because this is really well built for a really, really nice price. And yeah, I mean, that is a big point in this thing's favor. But sadly, as much as I have talked about the things that this has done right, there are also, I'm afraid, plenty of things that it has done wrong. And I think that the first thing to talk about, and really kind of the linchpin to a lot of this, is this taper. So this tapers really hard from the tail end all the way down to the nose. And there's lots of pens that taper, lots of them that have a little bit of a give from the tip to the nose, and that's kind of by design. They want it to be a little easier to grip, but the problem with this is that where this wants you to grab it, to be able to write with any level of control, is this grip right here. And that wouldn't be a big deal, except for the fact that it puts this entire back section of the pen way above being able to rest comfortably on your hand when you're writing with it. And that leads this to be really, really back heavy. It puts the center of balance on this pen, like right here. It's all the way back there. And so that makes this thing really back heavy and really takes away from the comfort of being able to write with this for long periods of time. And part of the reasoning for that, I wanted to show you guys here, and this is the other big gripe I have about this little guy, is that the whole back section of this pen is pretty much solid. And what I mean by that is this piece right here is pretty much solid inside. You have this entire upper area from about here up. It's all solid material, or rather from about here up or so. And then this has got some pretty beefy, pretty thick walls. And then you have this whole long bolt section here. So all of this material, and it's only hollowed out maybe 1/8 of an inch to see at the end of the refill. And what that does, especially once you go and you put this back together, this guy actually is very easy to disassemble and put back together. That should have gone under the positives because it is very easy. But once you put this all together, you end up with an almost completely solid chunk of titanium for the back of this thing, meaning of that 1.5 ounces of weight, probably 75% of it sits in the back quarter of the pen. And that makes this, as nice as it is, and as well made as it is, just kind of uncomfortable to write with, at least for me. Maybe if you were just signing your name a couple times a day or signing receipts with it, it wouldn't be a big deal. But if you're writing with this thing for extended periods of time, or you find it in your hand all day long, this gets old, right? This flopping around out here, and so that's really not great. I don't appreciate that they wasted all of the space in the bolt there, because what that means to me is just wasted opportunity. You there are all sorts of things that they could have done to this. It could have been made to take a longer refill. You could have slimmed a lot of this down, taken away that, but it wasn't done. And sadly for me, that's kind of the sticking point here. And it does have a couple other small issues. One being that this bolt here was not only not Loctited from the factory, but it wasn't particularly tight. And so as we play with it and use it, that bolt just comes unscrewed. No matter how much I've tightened it on the time that I've had it and used it, I have not been able to get it to. I haven't been able to get it to stay tight, and I haven't wanted to Loctite it because I was going to take it apart for this anyway, so it wasn't really worth it. But that's kind of where I land on this thing. This for me is a damn good swing and a pretty blatant miss. The machining and just overall build of this pen are all there. Reate has this down to a T. Enrique has a lot of his design elements down to a T, but functionally this kind of misses the mark for me because it just isn't comfortable. It serves very well as a fidget piece, but just not where I want it to as a writing instrument, and that kind of at the end of the day is a bit of a killer for me. If I can't write with this comfortably, then what are we doing here? So unfortunately, that's kind of where I have to leave this guy. I wish that it would have left a little bit better impression, and I'm definitely hopeful that as Enrique and Reate learn what they like and what they don't like, and what works and what they don't work, that maybe we see another version of this with a couple of different design elements. Maybe some slimming down here, a little bit of a better balancing act. And I'd love to give it another shot, but for now, for this particular pen, unfortunately for me, this is the cons kind of outweigh the pros. Cons are a little back heavy, if you catch my drift. So that's really all I've got for this guy. If there's anything that you guys wish I would have commented on or talked about, be sure to leave me a comment below. Obviously, like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. Until next time, see you guys.